I will explain briefly what the Carte Blanche is about and what we discussed about yesterday, for those who were not with us yesterday. And then the show will go on. So we are in the IFA Gallery in a space that is dedicated to this one-year program on colonial legacies and contemporary societies. So what we have here is an exhibition curated by Marina Reyes Franco, and which is called Watch Your Step, Mind Your Head. And it's looking at the colony of Puerto Rico and looking at tax paradise and tourism as new form of colonialism. What you have also behind you is the reading room. So it's a selection of publications that are dealing, amongst other, on the colonial structures in the everyday, and it's curated by the Contemporary End. And what you have also close to the windows is the hearing station, and it's a selection curated by the South Radio of sound installation. But coming back to the colonial legacies and the contemporary societies, as I was saying, it's a one-year research and exhibition program, and we are now in this on the second chapter, where we look at urban culture and colonial legacies, and also urban culture as ways or tools to resist the colonial legacies. And that's why we invited Alex Moussa Sawadogo, who amongst many others is the artistic director of Afrikamera, which is a festival of African film that exists since 10 years. He is also the founder of the Waga Lab, which is a series of a yearly workshop for filmmakers in Ouagadougou. And he is the creator of a festival, on the programmation of a festival every 2 years at the Hall. And for us, it was important to try to leave our comfort zone, so for instance, as a gallery, rather than having only visual art, to talk about performance, to experience performance, discussion, screenings, and also for Moussa to leave a little bit his comfort zone, but I think he will complain a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Danke, Alia. Ich glaube, dass für jeder Kurator oder Programmer, dass immer eine große Ehre, eine Carte Blanche zu haben. Aber hier, dass als dieses Angebot von Alia kommt, ehrlich zu sagen, ich habe mich gefreut, aber auch Angst gehabt. Ich bin gewohnt, immer Filmprogramm oder Tanzprogramm zu machen, großen Bühne oder großen Festival. Aber ein Programm im Zusammenhang mit Kunst und Politik in einer Galerie zu machen, ich habe noch nicht mein Leben gemacht, seit fast über 10 Jahren als Erfahrung im Programm. Und das ist auch eine große Herausforderung. Wie soll ich das schaffen, diese schöne Galerien im Zentrum von Berlin, mit was in Afrika im Moment noch mal passiert, nicht was die Leute schon immer gesehen haben, Tanz, Film, Kunst und so weiter. Was bewegt dieser Kontinent im Moment? Was verbindet die jungen Leute? Die jungen Leute, die in Afrika geblieben sind, die in großen Städten wie Brazzaville, Kinshasa, Ouagadougou und Dakar. Und für mich, das war eine Möglichkeit, mich selber mal zu fragen, und was ich versuche noch mal zu finden in der Afrika-Szene. Und Gott sei Dank mit meinem ganzen Netzwerk und Überlegen. Und ich bin einfach an Keyti mit seiner Gruppe nochmal in Dakar nochmal angestoßen. Und vorher auch, ich war schon lange im Kontakt mit einem Fotografen, heißt Baudouin Mouanda. Er war gestern, ja, diese Dandys, African Sapeur, das sind African Dandys. Gestern hat sein Programm immer gesagt, vielleicht werden nochmal eine Möglichkeit, wieder eine große Teil von seiner Arbeit zu sehen. Und wir fliegen jetzt von Brazzaville nach Dakar. Jeder von uns kennt vielleicht Dakar oder schon mal in Peking oder irgendwo gewesen. Und wir haben diese große Ehre, heute Abend ich will nur Keyti, Eric würde mal Keyti gleich mal vorstellen, dass junge Leute, die im Moment in Afrika das ganz Neues, was sie machen, das zum ersten Mal in Deutschland, ich würde sagen in Europa, nach Frankreich zum ersten Mal hier in Berlin, diese Journal Rappé. Ich werde kurz anfangen, Eric, jeder Berliner kennt Eric, ja, Eric van Grassdorff, das ist und er werde anfangen, diese ganze Moderation nochmal machen. Okay, ich wünsche euch einfach viel Spaß und schönen Abend.
Thank you, Alia. Thank you, Moussa, and welcome to all of you. Yes, my name is Eric van Grassdorff. Some of you might know me in the context of an NGO called Afrikamera. I'm very, very pleased today to be able to, I was very looking forward to this evening, to be able to moderate this, because I have a hard history with Dakar and with Senegal, because I was born there and I was raised there for 10 years. So it's really, my heart never reached Germany totally, I think, so stayed in Dakar. So I'm very, very pleased to be here, and also very happy to be talking tonight to one of the most respected hip-hop artists of the country. Keyti, welcome to you.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, no, go on.
So I was just going to say a few technical things. The whole evening is going to be in English. I hope it's fine for everybody. Of course, there will be some parts in Wolof, but we will have English subtitles, I'm told. And the proceeding will be, I will shortly introduce Keyti so that we know what he has done in his life, and it's quite a lot. Then he will take over and present what he's doing, especially the Hip Hop Academy work that he's doing, but also Journal Rappé, that we will also see a performance of afterwards. And then we will go into a discussion. And I invite you to be very active. Like yesterday, it was very good to have this exchange and not to have everything on the panel, but really discussing with each other. So let me just go on and introduce Keyti. As I was saying, he's one of the most respected hip-hop artists in Senegal. His real name is Cheikh Sen, alias Keyti. He became known in 1998 with his group Rapadio, which released its first album in 98, and many believe that it changed the scene, the face of Senegalese hip-hop altogether. Indeed, in the context of social and political tension just before a very important presidential elections, it was the first album that really spoke to the interests of the youth, and so it was very radical and very critical of also other hip-hop artists who, in their view, were too commercial. So it can be said that it's like a second wave of hip-hop artists coming more of the banlieue, of the outskirts of town, of underprivileged people, or speaking for the underprivileged people. The success of this album opened the doors for a totally new breed of rappers, which were, as I said, more focused on giving a voice to the people. In 2001, the group released another album and was rewarded, which was rewarded as the Group Album of the Year by the Senegalese Hip Hop Awards. Unfortunately, in the same year, the group dissolved due to ideological problems or dissent. And in 2003, then Keyti started his solo project, which definitely established him as one of the best lyricists in the hip-hop scene. That album also led to many collaborations with other artists, like the Dakar All-Star album. He did with many artists, or in the same year he was contacted by an international project, Aura, Artistes Unis pour le Rap Africain, so United Artists for African Rap, and he collaborated with 17 other West African hip-hop artists to promote children's rights. For 3 years, the project toured all over the world. And in 2008, he was also part of the Bring the Noise project, which was initiated by the British Institute or British Council on the occasion of Ghana's 50 years of independence and also the abolition of the slave trade by the UK. In 2008, then, he directed a film on Senegalese hip-hop, a 26 minutes documentary called 100% Galsen, 100% Senegalese hip-hop. And the film premiered at the Black Soil Film Festival in Rotterdam the same year. Since 2009, he's been touring the world, presenting conferences and panels, and especially about the political impact of hip-hop on the Senegalese youth. And the work he's going to present us today is, on one side, his engagement, his political engagement with the Hip Hop Academy in Africulturban, which is the NGO that is organizing it, and working with youth, with underprivileged youth, and teaching them hip hop skills. And the other project is the probably most famous one, the Journal Rappé, so the rap news that he's developed with his colleague Xuman, and which, as he told me yesterday, they've just started a new sequel. So Keyti, once again, thank you very much for being with us, and I'm looking
Eric.
forward to a great discussion afterwards.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here tonight to talk about Senegalese hip-hop. And we will start with a video because we talk about music. So it is to be heard. First, the artists are to be seen, the words are to be heard, and that definitely gives a proper feel of what it is. This is one of the most influential Senegalese groups since 2012. The group exists since 20 years, but funnily, it's only since 2012 that the limelight is on the group, because they've started a revolution in Senegal and got all Senegalese people out in the street to fight against Abdoulaye Wade's candidacy. He was running for a third term, and they started the movement on June 22nd, 2012, and on June 23rd, 2012, whole Senegal was out in the street because they got arrested on June 22, 2012. So since then, they've been representing this ideology that hip-hop should talk about politics, that hip-hop is made to address political issues, that hip-hop is made to address social issues. And this is the first album they released right after Abdoulaye Wade was sacked, Macky Sall elected. And when Macky Sall was elected, a lot of people thought that they would collaborate with Macky Sall, and indeed Macky Sall proposed them stuff. Indeed Macky Sall proposed them responsibilities, but whole Senegal was surprised when they went back to the studio to record an album, because they thought that they were fighting to have responsibilities in the government. They said, no, we are artists, we're going back to the studio. And right after Macky Sall was elected, they started recording that album, and it came out 2 years after. And 2 years after Macky Sall was elected, the very first song that was released from the album is this video, and it's called Jogufi. Jogufi in Wolof means it was never gone. It's still here. We're still having politicians exploiting the people. We're still having politicians lying to the people. We're still having the people living in difficulties, having difficulties to buy food, having difficulties to have access to healthcare, having difficulties to have access to good education. And there is a bit of a short movie at the beginning of the video where one of the rappers is sitting in front of a shop, which is the shops you will find in all neighborhoods around Senegal, and people go in and come out of the shop and they asking for things, and then the owner of the shop is telling them there's no gas, there's no rice, there's no this, there's no that, because that's the conditions we're living in. And at this very moment, while I'm in Germany, on Facebook, on Twitter, you can see Senegalese people I follow, complaining that there's no electricity since this morning. So this video, even 3 years, 4 years after, is still valid, because the reality we were caught during the 80s, the 90s, in 2000 is still existing in Senegal. So Senegalese hip-hop, Senegalese rap is still leading the fight. And I think we're just gonna watch the video and then come back to the talk.
Même chat, même chien, même vaille, même vieille, même caille, même feuille, même cinéma, même schéma, même promesse électorale, même bradage du littoral. réew mi kaw a total ñaari at ñëpp doyal ci ku àttanul collectivité locale nu muy téye Sénégal as sagaru prési apprenti góor gi mbaa du paa yu tas yi toppoon Senghor ñoo jiite réew mi wala ndaw si ay arrivistes au pouvoir teel a faillir seen devoir nguur gu fainéant ñàkk vision gâchis permanent du solution du balai ana société civile bu ñu casé au palais bétail électoral bi transhumé bataille amul rupture ba tey ñi ngi dund coupure courant ak ndox réew mi takk bañ a dox paj mi feebar njàng mi soox diplômé chômé à quand le sérieux
li nga yewoo di ko yendoo na ko fannaane fu mus di jëreñeex na ko fannaane ndax yëgoo dëkk seddoo suñu kondaane ku wax ñu jàpp tëj ràpp kondaane li nga yewoo di ko yendoo na ko fannaane fu mus di jëreñeex na ko fannaane ndax yëgoo dëkk seddoo suñu kondaane ku wax ñu jàpp tëj ràpp kondaane li la waxama huri sikki malakandoo li nga waxula huri jaafa xamandoo jola fatas ñëpp ko yuxandoo ku ne di kaas ndax ñëpp xundandoo far yombe sëgg jafe dëkke ñafe ngir jóge ci jafe-jafe liggéey bañ a naxe fexe nu réew mi mën a doxe bañ a soxe ku tëye bañ a joxe balaa fee jóge xanaa dañ ko dàqe jarul wax ju bëri Dakar melul ni Paris jafe ko sunu Paris sambaay bàcc si say nëf dëkkee wàcc te doo jëf dañoo mar ci seen yëf dañoo mar bëggas nëf li nga yewoo di ko yendoo na ko fannaane fu mus di jëre ñeex na ko fannaane ndax yëgoo dëkk seddoo suñu kondaane ku wax ñu jàpp tëj ràpp kondaane li nga yewoo di ko yendoo na ko fannaane fu mus di jële ñeex na ko fannaane ndax yëgoo dëkk seddoo suñu kondaane ku wax ñu jàpp ñëpp condamné.
soo jox ko foofu ndox mu sedd waaye sa waay fii dara sedd fi courant dafa coupé si suba ba tey.
That was Kergi Jogufi, and I think this was a clear signal to our president, to our current president, that hip-hop was not an ally to him, that rappers were not allies to him. But it was also important to make clear that we were not enemies, that we would just play our role as watchdogs for him to change a lot of things that's been going on since independence, actually. And to fully understand Senegalese hip-hop, we really got to go back to independence. Because most of the times when people talk about Senegalese hip-hop, they talk about Senegalese hip-hop as a sort of rupture in the position artists been having since independence, which is not true. Hip-hop is not creating a rupture in Senegal. It's on the contrary, following the steps of people, of artists who've been there before hip-hop artists. Not only artists, but activists, people who's been active into political life, like Omar Blondin Diop, whose story is not well known, but the hip-hop community really knows his story. And he's been an influence to the hip-hop community. And just to set up very basically the context, in 1960, Senegal is independent. Senghor becomes the new president of Senegal. Great poet. He is a great poet, but a very bad president. That's the truth. Very bad president. The whole time he was president, even though he definitely promoted Senegalese culture by creating the ensemble lyrique du Théâtre Sorano. He made Senegalese culture travel around the world, and the way he supported Senegalese culture, he's been the only Senegalese president doing it, really. But in the meantime, the contradiction with Senghor is the fact that, for example, he didn't accept local clothing to get in the palace. He didn't accept people dressed in Senegalese clothes to access the palace. You had to wear a suit and a tie to get in the palace. Senghor, for example, for years, every 8 p.m., he was sitting in front of his TV watching the news and just writing down the mistakes in speaking French, while speaking French, that the journalists were making, and sending reports to the national TV. Every day, it's like, okay, yesterday night the journalist made this mistake in French and that mistake in French. And he even edited a book. He even edited a book, which mistakes not to make in French. So, in that context, with such a president, you feel like that he's there for French interests and not Senegalese interests, really. And the fact that for years there was only one party, his party, BDS. So what happened is other people had different ways of thinking. Other people had another vision of what our independence should have been. And since there was only one party allowed, they had to go underground. And that generation was mainly active in the 70s. And all of those people are coming from the 60s, the revolution of '68, they've been fed with those ideas, and they've created, they finally created the movement called Andjef. And what Andjef really did in the 70s, end of the 70s, from 1975 to beginning of the 80s, since they couldn't have a political voice, what they did is their vision, which one point is we should be using our local languages instead of the colonizers' language. And what they did was to create songs. They created songs and gave it to singers, well-known singers. Senemali was singing songs written by people from Andjef. Khalamu was singing songs written by politicians from Andjef who were in the underground. And at the same time, a movement started in Senegal called ASC, Association Sportive et Culturelle, which was little associations in neighborhoods, and they would have this competition every rainy season called Nawetan. And Nawetan were not one neighborhood, one team from a neighborhood against another team from a neighborhood playing football. It was more than that. While some were playing football, others were on stage doing theater, others were on stage singing. And they wrote songs for those teams doing theater, singing, and those people carried the message from Andjef that, and some of the songs, the message really were, we shouldn't kill our own languages, we should be proud of our own languages, we've got a great culture, such and such did this in this country, so why are we leaving all that behind and then going to take another culture which is not ours? So, and as kids, we were singing those songs. My generation was singing those songs. My generation was watching those theater pieces. So there is no wonder that when I first heard Public Enemy, the first rap song I ever heard was Public Enemy, Don't Believe the Hype. So, and back then, in the 80s, I think it was 1990, 1998, 1997, there was only one TV channel in Senegal, National TV, National Public TV. They didn't play hip-hop. So the funny thing is, the way hip-hop came into Senegal is the reverse of how it came in the US and in Europe. Because in the US and in Europe, it came from poor neighborhoods. In Senegal, it came from rich neighborhoods. Because those were the people who had brothers who lived in Europe, who had uncles who lived in Europe, who had fathers or mothers who would travel to the US and came back with VHS, with your MTV rap recorded on it. And then the thing is, I was living on one side of Dakar. Then if ever someone who's interested in hip hop had a new VHS coming from the US, the whole city would know about it. And then we would just like pretend that, oh man, it's been a long time I didn't see you. Maybe I can visit. So, and that's really how it went. I remember doing kilometers just to watch the latest videos from the US. And that's how I came across Don't Believe the Hype. And the particularity of that video was that it was translated into French. And that changed everything. That changed everything. Because even though we've been bred with the songs from those revolutionaries that were in the underground, let's not forget that in the beginning of the 80s, another genre of music started in Senegal, which is mbalax. And mbalax didn't carry the revolutionary message. It didn't. Mbalax was created by mainly, I say mainly, he's not the only one, but mainly by Youssou N'Dour. Super Étoile, coming from the other generation, which was more into salsa. But when Youssou N'Dour started salsa, he didn't feel like doing salsa. He wanted something with a local feel. That's how he came with Mbalax. And so he led the movement of Mbalax, but Mbalax didn't carry any message. The message of Mbalax was to chant people's praises. You're the most beautiful, you're the richest, you got the nicest cars, you got the nicest houses, your grandparents are so great, they did this and that. And then it totally flipped the mentality of Senegalese people, because that's party music. Mbalax is party music, that's definitely party music. So for us to hear and to see the message of Public Enemy in Don't Believe the Hype was revolutionary. We couldn't believe that artists could say such thing into their music. And the first generation of Senegalese rappers, all of them started either with Public Enemy or KRS-One or NWA. So that's the conception we got of hip-hop. And that's how hip-hop in Senegal started. But the main group, the most famous group when hip-hop started back in the end of the 80s was Positive Black Soul. And I've had a bit of a problem with Positive Black Soul for a long time, because they knew for real what the message was, but they didn't fully come with the message. When the first song ever released on a CD was by Public Enemy, and it was published by a French review called Revue Noire. And Revue Noire was published by the French Institute. And the song they released there was called Joko. Joko in Wolof means unite. And now, 25 years later, when I listen to that song again, the first sentence of that song, which is the first sentence of Senegalese rap ever printed on a CD, it says, "Ñun duñu PS, duñu PDS, ñun ñoy PBS, parti bu bes." We are not the Socialist Party, we're not the Liberals, we are Positive Black Soul, a new party. That means a lot. That means a lot. That was a clear message to politicians. The message was, for a long time, you were on the terrain, so we are coming on the same terrain and talking to the people you're talking to. For me, and now I laugh about it with Awadi, now that we've solved our problems. I was like, that was a declaration of war you guys did there. That's true, that was a declaration of war. Senegalese hip-hop declared war clearly to the politicians. Ñun duñu PDS, ñun duñu PS, duñu PDS, ñun ñoy PBS, parti bu bes. We are a new party, the party of the people. Coming with a different message, giving the message in a different form. That's what was implied. So, but the thing with PBS is they were too educated. So, yeah, they came up, it's like, I think you have to do things step by step. People are living in difficulties because the political context and the social context, hip-hop arrived in Senegal. Beginning of, in the 70s, there was a drought in Senegal. It didn't rain. So people from the inner country, they came to the coast. And on the coast, there's only one city which is thriving, one city where you can get a job, one city where the harbor is working, one city where all companies are settling in, and it's Dakar. So they all leave their villages, they all leave their fields and come to Dakar. And when they arrive in Dakar, Dakar is not ready for them. So they create their own neighborhoods around Dakar. And that's how now the suburbs of Dakar, like Pekin, like Guédiawaye, like Yambal, that's how they got populated, by people who were coming from inside the country looking for jobs in Senegal, beginning of the 80s. Because beginning of the 80s, Dakar was still kind of structured. You still had downtown Dakar, which was created by French people, and right after downtown Dakar, the first people Back in the 60s, local people, Senegalese people who were living in Dakar, and that was really the outskirts of Dakar, was Medina Gueule Tapée. That's where the first Senegalese people living in Dakar lived, and that's where Dakar stopped. But when it started growing, the government in the 70s built new neighborhoods for the middle class, the growing middle class, people who were teachers at the university, teachers in the school, people who were working in the administration, and that's how they created Sikap. And Sikap was populated by that middle class. But when those people came from inside the country, they couldn't afford paying the rents in Sikap because they didn't have the money. So they created the suburbs of Dakar. And in the 80s or so, Senghor was president from the 60s to 1981 or 2. 1980. So in 1980, Senghor, one fine morning, it's like, I'm tired of being president. I don't want to be president anymore. So, like, we would normally think that he would organize elections. No, I'm choosing my prime minister to replace me. And that's how Abdou Diouf became president. And when Abdou Diouf became president, he was very young, very modern. So he tried to change the Senegalese administration. He tried to change the political landscape by allowing multiple parties. And that's how those parties which were in the underground became legal, like Andi Diouf. And he organized elections and won them. But the thing with Abdou Diouf is, the whole time when he was president, he had to undergo also the ruling of the IMF. Because the IMF changed our economy with the structural adjustment plans, which changed our education, which changed our health system, which changed our economy, the taxes we had to get, it changed everything because we had to get ready. Now, when you think about it, they were preparing us to get ready for globalization. That's what they did. So they brought down all of the things that could help us exist as a nation. Even the education system, they changed it. When I was a kid, I went to school from 8 to 12, then I would go home, have lunch, come back in the afternoon from 3 to 5. They changed all of that. They created classes where it's called double flux, where you would have 100 kids going to school in the morning and another 100 kids going to class in the afternoon, and they were all in the same class. So they were classmates, but they would never met. They would never meet. This group would come in the morning, this other group would come in the afternoon, while for years the teacher would have all of the kids in the same spot at the same hours and teach them the same things. So those sequels are still following Senegalese education. And since the 80s, Senegalese education has been disrupted until now. Until now, the normal academic year at Cheikh Anta Diop University in Dakar, it starts around February or March. February or March. So, which is quite stupid. Because on an international level, all other universities, they start around October, September, if I'm not wrong. But Senegalese university, they start their academic year around February, March because of that disruption that's been created 20 years ago. I'm sorry, I might seem not to talk about hip hop, but that all makes sense with hip hop. And then the structural adjustment plans changed everything, so people became more poor. And in 1988, there was a general strike in Senegalese education. And it was for more than 6 months. For more than 6 months, we went to school for 1 day, stay home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, went back for 2 days, and stayed home for 1 month. And after 6 months, the academic year was not valid anymore. the academic year, because you have to do a number of hours during the year for the academic year to be valid. And after that time, after we reach that number of hours we didn't go to school, they said the academic year is not valid anymore. So we all lost 1 year. Whole Senegal lost 1 year. Except, as you can guess, the children of politicians. Because they got out of the country, because they were sent to Europe, because they were sent to the US. And it's particularly that year, and all people from my generation, they know about that year, because it has a name. It's called Année Blanche. Année Blanche, you can translate literally by white year. I'm sorry, this is the first time they give something negative to the whites. It's called the white year. And all people from that generation remember it. And I remember, I started writing raps that year. 1988, I started writing raps. And let's say 60 or 70% of rappers from that first generation, they started writing that year because we didn't got anything to do. For 1 year, we didn't go to school. We got to find some occupation. And it's that anger, that frustration. Those are the first things that came in our lyrics. And in 1993, right, when there were elections in Senegal, and for the first time, people were throwing rocks at the president, which was Abdou Diouf, because they were angry. He went on TV and said something that would trigger again hip-hop, that would trigger the anger of hip-hop. He said, "Today I realize that we have an unhealthy youth in this country. You're the president of the country and you're calling your youth unhealthy. That breeds more anger." And that anger was all transformed into hip-hop. So that is the context that brought Senegalese hip-hop to be so into politics. Because it was dragged into it by the reality we were in. And I was talking about positive black soul, that they were too educated. They were too educated because when they came, the things they were talking about was African Renaissance, was African unity, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Lumumba. But in the same time, you've got people from Guédiawaye, Pikine, Yeumbeul, Thiaroye, Grand Dakar, Grand Yoff, who didn't go to school. They don't know about those people. They don't know about Kwame Nkrumah. They don't know about Lumumba. All they know is there's nothing to eat at home today. All they know is my child is sick, I can't take him to the hospital. And Positive Black Soul was not talking about that. So me and my group, being still in the underground, we didn't release an album back then. We felt it as a betrayal. We felt it really as a betrayal, because hip-hop is to talk for your people. First, you talk for your people. And we had the feeling that they were not talking for the people. That's why there is, in 1998, a second generation of rappers came out in Senegal, and they called themselves hardcore. And it changed everything. It changed even the way texts were written. And to go back on decolonizing, when PBS, Positive Black Soul, when Daraji, when Pifras released their first album, most of the tracks were in French. Even though they were talking about free Africa, independence, most of the tracks were in French. But from 1998, all of the albums released were 100% in Wolof. 100% in Wolof. Not only in Wolof, but 100% in urban Wolof. Because that's the saying. Same time we wanted to be independent with the linguistics, we also wanted our reinvention of the language to be recognized. Because the Wolof we are speaking, the Wolof hip-hop is speaking, is very different from the Wolof which is spoken in the villages, very different from the Wolof which is spoken when they do the news in Wolof. This is the Wolof mixed with French words, mixed with English words, and now you've got a whole generation which doesn't even realize when they're using French words that it's French words. When they're using English words, that it's English words, because it's so ingrained in the language now, in Wolof now, that they think it's Wolof. When they say, boy, you dem chine. Boy, you dem chine means, my friend, let's go and have some tea. Boy is English, but you can't convince them that boy is English. Boy is Wolof. You dem chine. Chine, which is a deformation of China, because that's where tea is coming from. So, when we use that Wolof, we also wanted to give credit to that creativity that's been used to reinvent the language. And that second generation of Senegalese hip-hop, I think that's where things really started getting bad between rappers and the government. Because from then the attacks were really violent on the government. And rappers had been arrested already during that period in the, from 1980 to 2000, 2001, 2002. Something that happened, another thing that happened with that second generation of rappers in Senegal is in 2000, there were elections again. Abdoulaye Wade was in the opposition for 14 years, more than 14 years, never won the elections. Senegal had never changed. The ruling party was the same, the Socialist Party. From 1960 to 2000, the ruling party, the Socialists, they ruled the country. So in 2000, what we did, in 2000, rappers organized concert, very basic concert. We would have less equipment than what is here tonight, but we would organize a concert. We would go from one neighborhood to the other and organize concert. And the message was this to young people. During the last elections, most of you were still young to vote, but now you have the right to vote. So don't make the mistake that we made, thinking that throwing rocks, breaking things, breaking other people's property can change things in this country. It can't. The only way to change things in this country is to register and then go and vote. Rappers did it, and back then, the first private radios were created in Senegal, Sud FM and many other radios. They relayed the message. And for the first time in Senegalese history during the elections, the counting of the vote was done live and direct. Because the radios would be there counting with officials. Like in this voting district, we have this number for Abdoulaye Wade, this number for Abdou Diouf. It was clear to everybody, they couldn't cheat. And that's how, for the first time in Senegalese history, after 40 years of socialists ruling the country, we changed a president in 2000. And it was something amazing. It's like in March 2004, I think it was the 14th of March 2000, you wake up the next day and you have the feeling that something great is going to happen in this country. Like we did it. We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe that we could change government. Even though we were telling people to register and vote, we couldn't believe that it would happen. And when it happened, it was there. I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. I tend to get very passionate. Right? Yeah, so basically now you've got now you've got an idea how Senegalese hip hop is into politics and stuff. So what is happening now is since 2012 with another change of government and another revolution which was even more violent because there were lots of people dying, lots of young people dying. Now rappers are trying to change their whole approach. Instead of being militant, criticizing the government, now rappers are actually taking initiatives, social initiatives. And that's why in the suburbs of Dakar, in the different suburbs of Dakar, you've got a lot of hip-hop centers that were built by rappers themselves, where they're training people. And one of those centers I'm working with is Africulturban, which is in Pekin. There is another one in Gejawai run by another rapper called G Hip Hop. And what we try to do is in each neighborhood, try to identify what are the main issues, what are the priorities in those neighborhoods. In Gejawai, for example, it's drugs. It's drugs, selling drugs, consuming drugs. If you go in the different prisons of Dakar, most people in those prisons are coming from Gejawai. It's a fact. So Malal and his G Hip Hop, which is in Gejawai, they're trying to address that issue. They're trying to get those people back when they're coming out of jail. In Pekin, it's more lack of education, people dropping out of school. So Africulturban, which is in Pekin, is having a lot of workshop where it's just teaching the kids skills. How to be a DJ, how to write raps, how to set up your own company, for example. So since 2012, then rappers are more investing in the social field, trying to be more factual, that people can get out of a hip-hop center and say, I got a job now. I got a job, and it was not the government giving me that job. It's people like me, people who are coming from the same neighborhood, who taught me how to be a DJ, how to be a breakdancer. And what is amazing is most of those people now, they're going out of Senegal, they're traveling in other African countries, in Ghana, in Guinea, in Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, having performances. In Africulturban also, we have another program, and I work on that program as a language teacher, which is called YUMA, Youth Urban Media Academy. And since 2013, we've got a group of ex-juvenile convicts. When we started, they were aged, I think, the most age was 19. And for 3 years now, we've been working with them, trying to teach them cinema, teaching them also graphic design, and how to produce music with a computer. And now they've set up their own company. They've set up their own company, since some of them are videographers, others are beat makers, others graphic designers. They can work together. And that's definitely the idea behind YUMA. And next year we are planning to have a larger group, a group of 30, because there is a real demand. And maybe not only ex-convicts, but open it more to people who dropped out of school but still want to learn, and the government is not proposing an alternative. So this idea of alternative education, right now, Africulturban is really investing in it. One other thing, so many things. One last thing, actually, is a project I'm also working on since 2013, which is called Journal Rappé, because it's okay to teach people, it's okay to help people acquire skills, but if you have skills, if you have a job, without the proper information, it doesn't help a lot. So with another rapper, we decided to create this show, which is called Journal Rappé, which is basically the news. Every Friday, we come with the news, but we do it in rap every Friday. The segment is maybe 10 minutes, maximum 10 minutes long, and we try to sum up and explain things very easily. If a new law is voted at the parliament, we explain the law with simple words so that everybody can understand it. Because Senegal is a country where at least 50% of people are illiterate. And the news, they come mainly in French, meaning most of the time people, they vote without even know who they are voting for or what they are voting for. And most of the times, they communicate on the colors of the paper. Each candidate will say, the color of my paper, if you get in, don't mistake it. It's the green one or it's the yellow one, because most of the people can't read. So in that atmosphere, we felt as a duty to explain what it is the government voting, what is the president saying, things happening outside of Senegal, which consequences they have in our country. So I'm just gonna play you a section, and we talk about everything, really. We really talk about everything. And I think that we still have time to have a little performance. All right?
Two of Senegal's most popular rappers are quickly becoming known in the country as broadcast journalists. Keyti and Xuman, both veterans on Dakar's hip-hop scene, co-anchor the Journal Rappé, a short TV segment that presents news in a musical format every week.
Au Sénégal maintenant, où les jeunes peuvent désormais regarder en ligne un journal télévisé entièrement en rap.
Comment intéresser les jeunes à l'actualité? Au Sénégal, on pense avoir trouvé la réponse en présentant le journal télé sur fond de musique rap.
Ils sont deux, un premier qui chante l'actu en français et un autre qui refait le journal en Wolof, la langue locale. Le premier, Xuman, en français, c'est plus simple, rythme l'actu depuis le 11 avril dernier sur YouTube. Ça s'appelle le JT Rappé et franchement, ça déchire.
The show may take a humorous approach through amusing lyrics, but the rappers actually work hard to shine the spotlight on serious issues. From critiquing public officials accused of embezzling government funds to encouraging voters to register. Keyti and Xuman's weekly news segment, which broadcasts in French and the widely spoken Senegalese language of Wolof, not only gets tens of thousands of views on YouTube, but is also played out nationwide on 2S TV.
Les morts ne se comptent plus par centaines mais par milliers. Sur la route de l'immigration clandestine, on est familier avec ces images de corps sans vie, vomis par l'océan. Autant de destins, d'espoirs et de rêves brisés en plein élan. L'arrivée en terre promise, c'est comme gagner au loto. Mais y a de l'eau dans le radeau qui mène vers l'Eldorado. À ce niveau, on dit plus victimes, on parle de statistiques. 1800 morts depuis janvier et chaque pirogue est un Titanic. Les guerres et les crises sont les principaux alibis de ce flot de migrants qui passent par le Maroc ou la Libye, à la recherche d'une vie meilleure de l'autre côté de la rive. Mais la Méditerranée devient le tombeau de leurs rêves. Ouvrez les frontières, ouvrez les frontières. Comme dit Fatou Diom, on sera riche ensemble. L'Europe fait semblant de ne pas entendre leurs prières. Ou alors on va se noyer tous ensemble.
Monsieur Xuman waaye ana sunuy responsabilité fuñ ko bàyyee wala faaw ñuy joxoñ rek wut kuñ koy jiiñ dëkk ci gañ ak biiñ yërëmtalu ak di giiñ africain na bàyyi tappale nuñ koy dakkale nangu ci sunuy dëkk ci sunuy nguur jëkk la kale te ba chantage historique bi waga série yi liggéey ku mu jaral dugg ci gaal ba soobu ci géej di feey teg sa bakkan ci xott foog na yaa ñu ëpp problème na la jaral des sa dëkk waar ba am kayit soog a dem ju nekk juróom ñetti téeméer bi at bi dooreek léegi dee nañ ci géej gi dañuy foorek dëgg la africain yi.
Oui mais on ne peut nier la responsabilité de l'Europe qui vient toujours nous piller.
balaa boobu nag nañu wax sunu njiit yi ñuy joxul cër politiciens yu bon yi fi am te ñu tamit sampul kër lan la sunuy njiit def ngir téye ndaw ñi bañ a dem ci justice démocratie ban njariñ lañ ñu amal ñàkk liggéey ak ndool ci askan ñooñu ko tàmmal faaw ñëpp jóg xeex ya beel fii la war yam.
Il n'envie rien à ses principaux concurrents que sont la malaria, le choléra et le sida. Il provoque lui aussi diarrhée, fièvre et vomissement. On parle de lui jusqu'à Hollywood, son nom virus Ebola. 700 cas, 300 morts, Sierra Leone et Libéria. C'est la folie à Conakry et la panique au Nigeria. Information de taille, 2 Américains seraient tombés malades. Ça c'est bon signe pour le vaccin. Tous ces pays sont les voisins du Sénégal. Même nos parents maliens ne saluent plus n'importe qui. Mais nous ici, on est relax, on boit du thé. Nos gris-gris nous protègent de ce que le blanc a inventé. Ebola est dangereux, protégez-vous. Le gouvernement n'en parle pas, mais vous renseignez-vous. Eau chaude, savon, mangez moins de singes. La soupe de chauve-souris et de gorille, ce n'est pas bien.
20 ans ci weer wi génocide du Rwanda xeetu deret ubale air bi Kigali ba Muramba paaka jaasi xeej fetal en yu làq jugaale kibuye butaare tutsi yëpp ñu gaare uti yi ëpp jekku oni dëpp dawro cekku àdduna bi seetaan li nite ci ñun wàññeeku What? Avril ba milliers jour temps 1000 morts xeetu rey yu gën ñaaw gas bàmmeel jalay koor gannaaw fàttaliku ak di jubale ña nga xam ne démb noonu lañ woon président ba Paul Kagame dellu joxoñ ña woon ca woon di xëcc buum ya ndax France ak Belgique ku leen ci génne juum nga ñoo tàggat ña doon rey jox gànnaay ña doon rey ba mu coolee ñoo dellu si ngir aar ña doon rey France di mer di funki waaye on s'en fout liberté égalité fraternité c'est sans nous.
Afrique mon Afrique mon Afrique pillée, pendant longtemps dépouillée par des vautours déguisés en homme d'affaires. Mon Afrique surendettée, affamée, sous-équipée. Sa croissance avance mais elle reste en arrière. Incroyable, 10 personnes possèdent autant de richesses que la moitié la plus pauvre de la population africaine. Des immeubles poussent mais le niveau de vie baisse et chaque jour s'augmentent ces inégalités extrêmes. Pire que la mafia, Al Capone ou Escobar, les multinationales volent à l'Afrique des milliards de dollars grâce à nos dirigeants complices qui leur font des remises avec des allègements fiscaux, c'est le gâteau sur la cerise. Avec ces fuites de capitaux, on pourrait construire des écoles, des hôpitaux, électrifier les zones rurales et faciliter l'accès à l'eau. Nous sommes des mendiants, pourtant on est assis sur un magot. S'il n'y a pas de justice fiscale, il n'y a pas de paix sociale. Pour développer l'Afrique, on doit combattre à chance égale. Faut les forcer à payer leurs taxes. Un point c'est tout, ils jouent encore à DSK. Et c'est nous, Nafisa.
2011 deret la ñu bindee araf yi fukki weeru yëngu-yëngu daaneel nguuru xaraf yi Benghazi Zouara Misrata Libitak ba Sirte Lebda Zawiya ñëpp na ci jàkk cal weeru révolution ba doore woon Tunisie yegg si jaxase carte yëpp ñu dëpp simis yi xaritu Xadafi yi démb taxawal way fipp yi France Angleterre OTAN bomb tuyi ñetti at wees na léegi Libi no man's land la kilifteefu Kalachnikov ay milice yu ñàng la congo ak këccoo fitna bés bu yàlla sàkk démocratie ba nasaraan si indi saf na sap pétrole tax ñuy rayante askan wane cundum ndox muñ naan sax jafe ak lekk fajog tàngaay baleen ak seeni bopp ñu des di jooy ak réccu nasaraan si takki bagaasam aha ña ngay gàddaay.
Après la France Afrique, la Chine Afrique, c'est USA Afrique. Un autre sommet sur le futur avenir de l'Afrique. Près de 50 présidents africains Obama ont répondu à la convocation de notre président Obama. Mais seuls les enfants sages ont été conviés. On a évité El Béchir et autres Robert Mugabe. L'Amérique veut mettre fin à l'hégémonie économique de la Chine qui a investi tous les secteurs en Afrique. La main qui demande est toujours en dessous. Malgré ses richesses, l'Afrique a toujours besoin de leurs sous. Sous conditions de bonne gouvernance et démocratie, lutte contre la corruption et respect des droits de l'homme aussi. Et Papa Obama a aussi promis le courant et le sérum de 33 milliards pour le continent mourant. Vraiment, il nous veut du bien parce que l'Afrique aussi a droit au rêve américain.
Publicité. Vous n'y avez jamais pensé, mais Bill Gates l'a réalisé. L'homme le plus riche du monde, avec sa fondation, veut éradiquer la soif dans le monde. De l'eau potable qui sort de vos toilettes. C'est possible. C'est pas du caca-cola, c'est du caca-water. Caca-water. Le caca change avec Bill Gates. Caca-water, bientôt au Sénégal.
Depuis le 11 septembre, tout est beaucoup plus sombre. Un peu partout dans le monde, le bien et le mal s'affrontent. L'ennemi est un barbu anti là-bas avec une calache qui coupe des têtes sur YouTube et commet des attentes à l'âge. Au nom d'Allah, les Kouachi et Koulibaly envoient 17 armes dans l'au-delà. Munitions contre crayons inégales et ce combat-là. Le djihad est sur leur sol et c'est ce que les Français voient là.
bonne année. ñu ngi 2015 7 janvier ñuy fóonante que bisante di ñaan jàmm ndax kat àdduna bi bëri na teesante ca Paris France ñu yeewoo ñaari gaay yu 15 Serif ak Saïd les frères Kwasi gàccoo Kalashnikov grenade lance-roquette lëmbee dëkk ba yëpp Champs-Élysées ba Roissy mu mel ni film laaban direct TV di ko get ne cëpp Charlie Hebdo ratatatat rey fukk ak ñett xeeb ko massacre l'islam la ñu mbubboo gëm temm ne ñu ngi jihaad na ngi dee yéeféer lañ ñu mérité lañ leen joxaat 48 heures la kenn daqanteeg sa salom bés ba ca topp lañ leen abaat ratatatat je suis Charlie gi ne tuleeg màlle je ne suis pas Charlie gi mel ni luy wàlle terrorisme janoog liberté d'expression ku ne di wax théorie expliquer dépression ñaari camp diine jamono lu fi jar lii sunu président sax dem na ba Paris marche doon Charlie.
Où sont passés nos 10%? C'est la question que les paysans africains se posent à l'unisson. Pourtant, il y a 10 ans à Maputo, nos dirigeants avaient pris la résolution de reverser au moins 10% de leur budget national à l'agriculture, surtout familiale. 10 ans plus tard, c'est comme s'il y avait une amnésie générale. Bientôt, notre Yassa ne sera même plus national, parce que ni le poulet, l'oignon, le riz ne sont d'origine locale. Il faut que nos États respectent les engagements pris à Maputo, parce que la faim n'est pas une maladie qu'on soigne dans les hôpitaux. Investir mieux et bien dans l'agriculture, c'est sauver 150 millions d'Africains dans le futur.
Afrique, cey Afrique continent bi du jógee ci musibaak balaa yu sadik épidémie guerre réew yi tàkk ñàkk gu sax dàkk feebar duñ faju xiif maral ñoo ko bari gaak askan yi dëkkee taqale njiit yi di tappale di sàcc di luubal sanguinaire gën fi lakkale am mu ne gaañu suuf si naat ñu am kattan waaye defuñu ci lenn dundee ndimbal ñoo ko sàggan li ci doy waar nag sunuy njiit ñoom ñoo ngi noos ñook seen njaboot di soos ay milliards ci seeni poos gaw ma ni dañu koo liggéey xëy na dañu koo jiggi nii waaye ñi ci ràññee club des milliardaires ñi ngi nii Mugabe
5 milliards
Déby
25 milliards
Muzwati
50 milliards
Biya
103 milliards
Uhuru Kenyatta
259 milliards
Obiang Gemang
310 milliards
Buuru Maroc Mohamed VI 1300 milliards waaye raw gàddu gi dañ koy jox Dos Santos président Angola 79 ba tey en poste 9835 milliards
lan 9835 milliards. Damn!
They want to take the world back into darkness. Cold-blooded killers, heavily armed and heartless. Killing, raping, looting, kidnapping. Nothing but hatred towards mankind. In the name of their belief, horror and devastation is what they always leave behind. They want us to live in fear, and they are called terrorists. But wait, he, Dylan Roof, went in a church in Charleston, North Carolina in June 2015, opened fire and killed 9 black people. Anders Behring Breivik killed 77 people in 2011 during a youth summer camp in Norway. Meet Chris Harper, killed 9 people in Oregon Community College this October. How will you call them? Terrorists or not terrorists? Because see, terrorism does not apply to only one race or a religion. So, next time you meet one, please don't panic. Just give them a hug and tell them you love them, you love them.
Islam et société, burqa contre sécurité. Le débat est animé pour nous Mouna enquêter.
En effet, Moussia Roumania péril en la demeure. La secte Boko Haram continue de faire beaucoup de morts. Attentats, suicides, kamikazes, femmes voilées, enfants volés. En gros, les catégories les plus vulnérables de la société. On parle de plus en plus de l'interdiction du port du voile intégral. Mesures préventives de sécurité nationale. Dans les rues, plus de burqa, plus de style ninja tropical.
Mais Mouna, voyons, un peu de sérieux là.
Oups, excusez-moi. Le Cameroun emboîte le pas. Au Gabon, au Tchad et à certaines régions du Niger et du Nigeria, interdiction formelle de porter le niqab ou la burqa qui ont servi à dissimuler des bombes lors des précédents attentats. Au Sénégal, cette éventualité fait beaucoup jaser. Sur la question s'affuse et les avis sont partagés. D'aucuns disent qu'à cause d'une minorité malveillante, on ne devrait pas frustrer une majorité bienveillante.
Absolument, absolument.
Certains s'indignent. C'est une attaque au symbole de l'islam et à leur liberté de culte.
Ah bon?
Ils considèrent cette mesure mesure comme discriminatoire. Pour eux, c'est une nouvelle insulte. Pour d'autres encore, la burqa ne serait pas une prescription de la religion, l'aurait emprunté à d'autres traditions. Pour moi, toute mesure doit nous unir et non nous diviser. Restons vigilants, mais il ne faut surtout pas stigmatiser.
Bari bitim rew yeneen yi attentat Gade Tunisie États-Unis Koweït ak Tchad li ci gën a raglu nag di terrorisme bi fi mu àgg kenn muccatu ci ñëpp a ngi ci seen agenda mën na doon ku ne mën na xewee fu ne amee nu ne yenn saa yi sax ñu jël ci ay gune ca Koweït ab juma la ñu ciblé rey ay bakkan ñaar fukk ak juróom-ñaar blessé yu sakkan suuf ca Tunisie 38 morts ay touristes ab waay gàddu kalasam doxantu ci place bi di roose États-Unis ndax nañ nekk fa nit ku ñuul touriste gannaaw police yi leen di rëbb di leen noncé ca Charleston ab tubaab raciste di laan ruub dugg église ak fetal juróom-ñeenti bakkan ci suuf ca di tam jamena def nañ fa daraam fukk ak benn dee ci explosion bombe Boko Haram.
Au Sénégal, Isen n'est plus à l'abri après 25 ans de procédure d'enquête de palabres. Rattrapé par ceux qui lui couraient après, il est temps pour lui de répondre de ses crimes macabres. Il perd le pouvoir en 90 après un coup d'état. Il débarque avec famille et milliards au pays de la Teranga. Accueilli par Diouf, protégé par Wad, il veut oublier et surtout se faire oublier par le Tchad. Mais les familles des 40 000 victimes ne peuvent oublier. Pour le repos des âmes de leurs morts, il doit être jugé. Beaucoup d'émotions, les passions sont attisées. Allons au tribunal voir comment se comporte l'accusé.
Je refuse de participer à ce simulacre de procès. D'ailleurs, je ne reconnais aucun des faits qui me sont reprochés. Encore moins cette cour de justice à la solde des impérialistes. Je suis victime d'un complot néocolonialiste. De ces mêmes colons qui m'ont soutenu, qui m'ont armé face à Kadhafi, qui m'ont trahi et qui aujourd'hui sont derrière Idriss Déby. Déby d'ailleurs qui est aussi responsable que moi, coupable et torturé les violations des droits de l'homme. Il est aussi comptable. Et puis le Sénégal a violé mon droit à l'exil. La prochaine fois, j'irai me réfugier au Brésil.
C'est la première fois en Afrique qu'un dictateur d'Afrique est jugé par les Africains. C'est historique, mais Abré n'a pas l'intention de se laisser faire. Le procès reprend en septembre. Il promet la guerre.
ci bépp guerre waaye bu desul lu dul feete victoire dañ leen di beer fay ñu naaj bi xoromam jox tirailleur bi cëram dafa mel ni der bu ñuul daal du mës a am seen ngërëm débarquement Normandie juróom-ñaar fukki ak si ren ñu koy feetee ki xumbeel ne àdduna bépp ak si leen anglais français allemand américain nasaraan yëpp seen biir dàq lépp luy africain mbir mi xeebaate la non li mu gën a niru yebaate la ci bépp njiitu réewu Afrique mbir mi yóbbante la ñaata ñoo fa ba seen bakkan ci suñuy maam fu ñu mësaana soxla ba woote ñooy njëkk taxaw ne naam dafa jot ñu foqati suñu cër xam ne bi ñu seeni mbaam.
Publicité.
Notre nourriture est pleine de goûts artificiels où les bouillons cubes ont même remplacé le sel. Il y en a autant qu'il y a d'étoiles dans le ciel. On met du bouillon dans la sauce, bouillon dans le riz, pourquoi pas du bouillon dans le lard et le café aussi. Noko solide, jumbo ou magie, aja tem tem, chonge ou mami. On s'en fout de la qualité, l'essentiel c'est de manger. Notre vie est en danger. La nourriture empoisonnée par ces bouillons. Trop de bouillon dans la cuisson. Maintenant, trop de bouillon comme des bonbons. Nous abusons. Bouillon, poisson, épices, oignons, on croit que c'est bon. Faut faire attention à ce que nous mangeons. Épices, oignons, c'est diabète et hypertension que nous consommons. On croit que c'est bon.
Yes. So, après cette petite publicité, how come I'm speaking in French?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Je disais donc qu'après cette petite publicité sur les bouillons. Okay, I was saying, ich wollte sagen, nach dieser Werbung, I just wanted to say that after this little publicity, you can imagine that it's very difficult for us to have sponsors back there, because
so you have to do
we attack people.
So you have to do the publicity yourselves, right?
Yeah. That's basically just to give you an idea of all the subjects we're talking about. It's not only politics, it's also health, it's environment also, education, and we've been having quite controversial stances, but we consider that this is our role, this is our job, and one thing people forget is information is a basic human right. And that's been our principle since we started the show. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And if it's not long for you guys, if you got questions, I'll be around. Thank you very much.
Keyti, thank you so much for this very impressive talk and every very impressive performance. I don't know how the public feels now. I don't want to keep you too long also. It's been quite long. If you have questions, I think we can directly move on to your questions. Otherwise, as Keyti said, he's still around and you can talk to him. How do you feel? Are there questions or should we just break? Okay. Good. So that makes my job very easy. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you to Keyti.